Are you ready for our next speaker? Coming up next is Jess Malani. She is an award-winning executive coach and a strategic consultant. She works with C-level leaders from all around the world. She began her career at the World Bank, and she now advises top decision makers on how to align people, performance, culture with strategy. And she also coaches CEOs, some of the global board of the ICF, which is the International Coach Federation. She was also recently named as Singapore Best Executive Coach. Her upcoming book, Elevated Mindset, draws from over 2 decades of leadership, coaching, and neuroscience-backed framework. Now, today, Jess is here to share a really big idea that mental wellness isn't just personal, it is business strategy. And when leaders shift, everything shifts. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big warm welcome to Jess Malani.
How many of you have experienced this or know somebody who has skipped meal or during work? How many of you have worked while on vacation? How many of you have actually worked on while you were on MC? Let me share with you about my CEO. Elaine, my CEO, my ex-boss, she and I were working on a Saturday afternoon on a Monday morning presentation to the board. It was nearly 5 p.m. I watched her as she continued to tap her pen on the table and looking up to the ceiling, wanting to tweak a few more slides. But I managed to convince her. It's time, let's go home. Plus, I wanted to have dinner with my 2 young kids. My taxi arrived. I grabbed my bag next to my chair and said bye to her as she moved to her office. 8 p.m., I get a call from her husband. Are you with Elaine? I'm supposed to meet her for dinner. I can't get through to her phone. Are you with her? We both panicked. We rushed back to the office and we found her collapsed under her desk. She was severely dehydrated, exhausted, and needed to be hospitalized for more than a week. This is the reality of leadership today. We work in a work culture that rewards burnout. Long hours, high pressure environments, always on our expectations are the norm. If burnout is not a personal failure, it's a systemic leadership risk and a massive business cost. If CEOs like my CEO, Terry, burns out, it's going to create a ripple effect, which is going to be on the culture of the organization, the morale of the team, and on the whole entire organization. Because we don't need more surface level wellness programs. What we need is a system-wide approach to building mental wellness into our leadership. Because mental wellness is not a luxury. It's a business strategy. When leaders fail to recognize mental wellness as a business strategy, the stock price is staggering. The World Health Organization has surveyed and found that depression and anxiety will cost the global economy $1 trillion in lost productivity. That's $1 trillion. In Singapore, burnout rate among our professionals has gone dramatically up. A joint study done by Duke NUS and the Institute of Mental Health has found that mental health issues in Singapore are costing us $16 billion. $16 billion is 3% of our GDP. This is no longer an HR issue, it's a business issue. If leaders like my CEO burns out, this has a ripple effect on the stressed out. As a stressed out leader, it will have a ripple effect on the morale of the team, the culture of the organization. And this ripple effect isn't abstract. It can be measured in 3 very tangible ways, which business leaders and HR professionals ought to be tracking. The first is exhausted leaders make poor business decisions. Second, burnout teams just survive, not thrive. And burnout bleeds into the bottom line. Let's do a little bit of exercise now. Here's where I see a lot of talent of leaders and experts in the room. I would like to ask you, if you could think of one practical, actionable way that you can prevent burnout in your organization. Let's give you a minute, and your minute starts now. May I invite you to share what you have, Audrey?
I think in our organization we do a lot of exercise, team exercise. Be it yoga for the staff, or even cross country run and all that. I think exercise is one practical way that is quite effective.
Quite effective. Yeah, thank you. David.
One practical way is I always practice managing walking around, and I know a lot of time when people do the one-on-one and all those things,
Maybe this might help.
Okay. All right, let me repeat myself. Thank you, Jess. I think one of the practice I've been doing quite frequently is managing walking around, although this is not a new word, a new term that you've heard, but it's doing it in a different way. It's like you do a check-in, like walking around, even one-on-one in an informal way, and people be more relaxed to check about and also address the burnout that they may potentially face. So I think that will be a very good practice.
That's a good useful tip. Thank you. Anyone else? JK, would you have something to share with us?
I think you talked about it being systemic, right? I think the one real practical thing that you should do is not victimize the fact that somebody is mentally unwell.
Thank you. Excellent points here. Thank you so much. With over 2 decades of coaching and leading key decision makers, coaching C-suite executives through growth, transformation, and growth, what if I shared with you today something that I've discovered? How many of you would like to know it? Okay. I have developed a 360 resilience framework. This works at 3 core levels: the leader, the team, and organization. So let me share with you how we use it and implement it into our organization. When we work with the leader, Exhausted leaders make poor executive decisions. The fatigue builds them to default to what is familiar and right instead of looking at what is strategic. We have worked with leaders over the years where they are reacting and not really being strategic in delivering their business. And there is a lot of exhausted leaders who need to manage how they are making their decisions under high intense pressure. My client, Terry, was a global CEO for an energy sector, working in 3 different time zones. She was reporting to the relentless expectations from the board while she was juggling with 2 young toddlers at home. When we implemented the 360-degree resilience framework with her, what we found is that she was now able to regulate her energy rhythms, elevated her team's performance, and started reclaiming her time for what really mattered to her. She recently told me that I now lead from stability and not from reaction. Next, we work with teams. When we work with organizations, the teams are completely burnt out. They are surviving and doing what needs to be done, not necessarily what has to be done. Teams are struggling because what they are doing and what the organization expects, there is no synergy, collaboration, engagement. During COVID, we worked with a global medical equipment company. Because the team could not travel, they were not able to meet their sales target, and as a result, they came to us looking for solution. We worked virtually with the team in 17 countries and got them to get together to collaborate, to create innovative ways of finding how they could use now the virtual platform to do the sales. And the result was everyone met their KPIs. One particular team who did the service agreements in addition to the sales got the KPIs to 150%. This is the kind of results when the team is engaged and they are working as a team is what is evident from our experience. Now, at the organization level as well, when organizations are struggling, it's usually because they have some systems, processes which are not in place. So we implemented the 360-degree resilience framework with a non-profit organization. This organization was struggling with its membership, and it had volunteers who would keep rolling out. So we came in and implemented a structured, systematic program for them, which now has been modeled globally for other membership organizations. So the effectiveness of 360 Resilience Framework proved that it doesn't have to be a profit organization as well. So far as the systems are created, the organization builds resilience for a sustainable growth. We've implemented this now with several leaders from various organizations who have been struggling or they're stalled and they have high turnover rate, they have low engagement levels, to get them to become organizations where teams are thriving, leadership is creating programs for success, as well as they have reduced their sick days and they have been able to retain the top performers. So this is how mental wellness becomes a business strategy. Remember Elaine I talked about, who collapsed and had to be hospitalized? The hospital stay was her turning point. She was the first champion to implement the 360-degree resilience framework system-wide. And her organization moved from a crisis-driven organization to one where high performance and well-being create sustainable success. She recently also shared with me that I now lead with clarity and not just urgency. So let's recap. When exhausted leaders will make poor strategic decisions, burned out teams will just survive, not thrive. And burnout bleeds into your bottom line. But when we implement the 360-degree resilience framework, we have proven results where leaders are now leading with clarity, even under pressure. Teams are becoming engaged and they are feeling empowered. And organizations reduce their costs because they are able to retain the top talent and they are also creating sustainable long-term success. Mental wellness is not a luxury. It's a business strategy. These are some of my clients. This is some of my published work. I'm Jess Malani. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jess obviously got us very intrigued with her model, so we're going to be going for a tea break really soon, and then we can catch up with her and check in with her as well.